up, YouTubers? So before we get started with this video, on first take, they're going to be talking about which quarterback is under the most amount of pressure to get to the Super Bowl. So let's see what they have to say about that.
Kimberly, I want to ask you, which player do you think is going to be under the most pressure as we head into the second half of the NFL season?
Lamar Jackson.
This was a tough one. I was going to say Mr. Unlimited, but it's really Aaron Rodgers because everybody else has a longer window. Aaron Rodgers, that window is closing very quickly on him. And I think the Packers got everybody's hopes up when they started the season. And it's like, oh, maybe they don't need another weapon. And fast forward to the trade deadline, and now everybody's up in arms that they didn't go out and get another wide receiver. That was the issue that they could have addressed in the draft. And coming into the season, I felt like Aaron Rodgers, we would need to see some wizardry from him. We would need to see Aaron Rodgers take this team again on his back and do it all. And that's where they're at right now. I think Russell has more pieces and he has more time. That window for Rodgers, it is shut in very quickly. So he's got to get it done now.
So I disagree. I think it's Lamar Jackson that has the most amount of pressure. So between him being MVP last year and the expectations of this year, he just hasn't been living up to it. Now, I know he definitely needs help on offense. He needs another player of his caliber as a wide receiver or a running back to help him out. But definitely he's under the most amount of pressure. Aaron Rodgers, I don't know why she's acting like Aaron Rodgers is 45 years old. I mean, we know from Tom Brady's timeline that quarterbacks can play well into their 40s and be highly effective. And I don't even think Aaron Rodgers is 40 yet. So let's continue.
I like that, Kimberly, but I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore Ravens. And I hate to do this to a guy that was an MVP from last year, but look at the games that he has played in which he has not been able to beat that team. The 2 playoff losses where you lose to the Chargers at home, then the Tennessee Titans last year. And then this year, you have a chance. You play a Pittsburgh Steelers team that was undefeated. You have a 17-7 lead, but you lose that ball game. He didn't play well enough, and 4 turnovers are not going to get it. He's going to be the player under the most pressure because he had such one of those once-in-a-generational kind of seasons that he had last year being the MVP, overcoming all those skeptics that basically said he could not play that way, run that way, pass that way, and lead his team to victory. And he's led his team to the playoffs in his first 2 seasons in the National Football League. But you got to be able to win that game. You got to be able to beat that Kansas City Chiefs team, that Pittsburgh Steelers team, that Tennessee Titans team. It's going to be very important that they don't lose to the Indianapolis Colts this weekend, because if they lose and he doesn't play well, then those whispers about him are going to get louder, thinking, I wonder if we've seen the best Lamar Jackson, what we saw last year, the MVP, which was great, but can he be a pressure quarterback and make those pressure plays and win in those pressure situations against teams that are on their level or they're supposed to be better than? That's why I believe that Lamar Jackson, based on what he did last year, setting that template this year, has the most pressure of anybody in the second half of the season.
So I would definitely agree with that. But at the very least, Lamar Jackson is beating the teams that he's supposed to beat, but he's losing to the teams that are respectable. Like, I mean, you lost to the defending Super Bowl champions, Kansas City Chiefs. He lost to an undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers. It's not like he's losing to a bunch of scrubs. So that shows you right there that there's just something he needs to tweak. A little something that he needs to tweak so he can get over the hump of beating the Kansas City Chiefs or Pittsburgh Steelers or teams of that caliber. And I think that little tweak might be he might need one other player on offense to help complement them. They can complement each other, and so they won't be so one-dimensional, because if you shut down and run with Lamar and you force him to pass, it's going to be a long day for Lamar. So I think at least he's beating the teams he's supposed to beat, but, he'll get it. He'll get it.
I'll be at that Colts game, Colts-Ravens, so I'll let Lamar know that pressure's on him.
I'm sure he's willing to take that from me. I'll put Freddie Coleman in his place. I'm sure he's thinking about that big time.
All right. Freddie, I like that pick. I like that, but I'm gonna go with Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson, Russell Wilson, in my opinion, he's the league MVP.
Yep.
At the midway point of the season, and we all know the whole mantra of the Seattle Seahawks is let Russ cook. Right. This is first time where they really just unleash Russell Wilson, and he's putting together a historic type of season with 26 touchdown passes, already this season. But the reason that he's had so much success is because it's needed, because their defense stinks. Their defense is one of the worst defenses in the National Football League in a bunch of statistical categories. They're giving up a ton of points. It seems like the Seattle Seahawks are in shootouts every week. So they actually need Russell Wilson to play at this unbelievable level because their defense can't stop a nosebleed. So there's going to be a tremendous amount of pressure on Russell Wilson to continue to perform at this high level until they can somehow, some way get that defense settled down.
No, I disagree. I don't think it's Russell Westbrook or Russell Wilson. Definitely, he's taking care of business. He's my leader in the MVP race. He's been staying consistent all year. He's always consistent. He's always winning. He's always taking care of business. The only thing is his defense is trash. So I don't want to put Russell Wilson under more pressure because his defense is playing like trash, because that's not his responsibility. But like I said, Russell Wilson definitely, he's been taking care of business. He's a front runner for the MVP. You just can't, there's no way I'll put him having more pressure than Lamar Jackson. With Lamar Jackson, he was the one making the mistakes, especially last week. He was the one with the turnovers. So if they lost because of him. As far as Aaron Rodgers, they lost their 2 games wasn't because Aaron Rodgers was throwing like 10 interceptions and he was just, not playing up to his caliber. So I can't blame him. I can't put any extra pressure on him. Russell Wilson, he's been taking care of business. His defense is trash. Just imagine if he had a good top 10 defense, how good they'd be. They'd probably be undefeated right now. But what he's really saying is that Russell Wilson is the MVP, because if he's their bread and butter, then he's definitely in the leading for the MVP race. So I don't know. Let's continue.
All of you make wonderful points. Because I covered the Ravens in week 1, and the talk was, hey, it's Super Bowl or bust. Like, we understand we're trying to get to the Super Bowl based on how we finished the last 2 years. With Russell, he is the league MVP right now. He's the running candidate, so he's a leading candidate. So if he falters, we got a long rest of the season for him to go and keep that pace up. But again, I just go back to who has more time. Lamar is a young kid. Whether it happens this year or not, his career doesn't end in the next couple of years. Like, he's got time to figure it out. Russell still has time. Aaron Rodgers, he really is on borrowed time. And we talk about some of the...
Now, wait a minute. How is Aaron Rodgers on borrowed time? The man's not even 40 yet. This doesn't make any type of sense. Aaron Rodgers has a good 4 or 5 years left in him to play at a high level. Like I said, Tom Brady is in uncharted waters with how good a quarterback can play into their 40s. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have any major injuries or anything like that. He's not showing any signs of slowing down. So I think her whole argument about, why Aaron Rodgers has the most amount of pressure is because he's older. That doesn't even make sense. The man's balling. Last year went 13-3. This year he's 5-2. They had a great start. So I don't know why age would even be a factor in talking about Aaron Rodgers.
The veteran quarterbacks in the league, a lot of them, that window, guys, it's not staying open forever.
Well, I'll disagree with you when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, Kimberly, because I still think his window is still open. I don't think it's ready to put this.
Yeah, I agree.
Starters up for the winter and close up shop and make sure everything's going to be right and you come back in the spring. I don't think that's the case with Aaron Rodgers, because even at his age, there's still not a throw he can't make in the National Football League. Most guys show a little bit of regression and ability. We saw with Dan Marino. We saw with Tom Brady a little bit. We saw Peyton Manning. But Aaron Rodgers, still with the flick of the wrist, that ball goes 60, 70 yards down the field. So even if the window may be closing a little bit in Green Bay because they drafted Jordan Love, and if you draft a guy in the first round, you want to see what he's going to do. He is not going to lack for any kind of suitors if he winds up on the open market at a certain point. So I still think that window is wide open. The pie still smells good. The birds are singing. There's still green grass and fresh air everywhere when it comes to Aaron Rodgers. That window may not be as shut as people may say about Aaron Rodgers, because he's still one of the elite players in the National Football League.
And Freddie, I want to, go to your pick in Lamar Jackson. Yeah, Lamar Jackson obviously coming off the MVP, season that he had last year. But you're right. There's been a lot of whispers about winning the big ones. I mean, Lamar Jackson, 24-1, against, everybody else. But when it comes to the big games, whether it's the Kansas City Chiefs, he's winless against the Kansas City Chiefs. We saw what happened against the Tennessee Titans last year, and we saw what happened.
Yeah, but all that shows is that there's little something he needs to tweak to be able to beat up on the higher caliber teams. He's taking care of the scrubs. He beats up the scrubs, but he needs just a little something to tweak before he's able to start beating the defending champions, Kansas City Chiefs or the Pittsburgh Steelers or teams of that nature. That's what that shows. So if anything, Lamar Jackson is still good because he's taking care of business where he should be, but he needs some help to get to the upper echelon.
with the Pittsburgh Steelers with Big Ben Roethlisberger in this rivalry. So until Lamar Jackson